The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sciforror Film Podcast. This is our Halloween episode. I'm joined once again by my friend Badger. Hello Badger, how are you doing?
How's it going? Happy Halloween, everyone. Hope you're enjoying what content the lovely Andy's been doing, because this guy is a workhorse, and if you haven't subscribed to him or checked out his stuff, you must. Great guy.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. So as usual on Halloween, we are doing horror. What else would we do? We have 2 short films and 2 feature films, which is a little bit more than normal, but hey ho. The first one is actually one I was asked to do, and this is a thing that's not going to be released to the public until Halloween, the day of Halloween.
Oh, so we got an exclusive then?
We've got an exclusive, we've got a pre-screening thing, so there you go. Now, this first short is 2025, and it is called Don't Tell Your Mum. This is from Bad Cookie Productions. The writer and director is Topher Graham. Cast is Jesse Inakala, Mark Elliott, and Ariel Hansen. The synopsis says, when Kyle is invited to do a quick job for his dodgy cousin, he's eager to prove his worth. Little does he know that the job is an underground blood bank for vampires, and it will cost him literal blood, sweat, and tears. So yes, so this is a new short film out till Halloween. I thought, there's some good editing and post effects put on this.
Definitely, yeah. And it reminded me of something. It's like, is this sort of inspired by Blade? Obviously you watch Blade and you think, the blood banks and stuff. Is this like, you get the comedy Star Trek stuff and you get the comedy stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Is this building to something that's comedic connected in with the Blade universe?
Could be,
From my book, that's why I linked it in with. I thought this is perfect. For somebody to be dressed up in battle gear that looks a little bit like Wesley Snipes to do a cameo at the end and start slashing up vampires.
I mean, I've got to say, from the outset, I've got to say that I'm not a big fan of American comedy on the whole. I'm also not a really big fan of much comedy horror, because I think he either goes too much comedy and not enough horror, or too much horror and not enough comedy. It's very difficult to get the balance right.
I mean, we've definitely discussed this before with Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, Evil Dead. They're the perfect examples of, they start off really scary and then just, eat a load of comedy for breakfast.
Yeah.
And then, unlike Evil Dead, when I watched the first Evil Dead as a kid, almost, I was absolutely cacking myself.
Yeah, I know.
And then you think if you think technically the first one then jumps into the third one, or the second one then jumps into the third one, you really have to jump the shark.
Yes.
If you watch the first one and then you watch like the third one, which it technically is like, you're going, whoopah!
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's the same with Nightmare on Elm Street. It goes extremes. For some reason, it's obviously the first and the second are quite serious, and then you have to jump all the way to Wes Craven's New Nightmare for it to sort of go back to the original setting. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, no, I agree. I must say, though, I did think this was actually pretty good. I thought that the comedy was really well done, and it was the horror aspect of it was good, but it wasn't overpowering it, and it was just enough to keep it good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good film.
I did as well. I really enjoyed it, and I thought the little details of like the comedic stuff that they put in there with the horror, the vampire character that was knocking on the door was
Yeah.
very well made up.
Yes,
Very
definitely.
good practical effects there. Very, looked very much like a sort of a vampire you would see in sort of a big budget horror film.
And I did like the little thing of the fact that, there's this thing, vampire law, they can't enter a building unless they're invited in. So when anyone knocks at the door, I say, "Can I come in?" He says, "I don't know, can you?"
Yeah, that was brilliant.
It's very, very clever, very well done. I mean, yeah, the acting I thought was really good. I thought they were all really good at it, that sort of thing, and the camera work and everything. It looked really good as well.
It felt natural, didn't it? It really felt natural, and it felt like you were watching something that had a big budget, and it really flowed well.
Yeah, it did. It was, and it's a good idea as well, actually. I mean, it's only a short thing, but the idea of, selling blood, but it was the fact that it was his own blood he was selling.
Yeah.
I thought was quite, so he needed to bring somebody in because he was kind of running out.
Yeah,
But
and
no,
there was that sort of Del Boy aspect to it, wasn't it? Don't tell anyone. I got a
yeah,
deal for
don't tell your mum.
you.
But yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I thought it was definitely an enjoyable film and worth a watch.
Definitely, I would watch it again. I think the comedy aspect to it, if they found a way to put an extra 20 minutes on it, I'd be happy. I'd be
Yeah, yeah.
laughing my way through.
So I do like the idea. Yeah, it's what I'm bringing in maybe a post-credit scene with somebody knocking at the door dressed up, looking, even if you just saw them from behind, looking a bit like Wesley Snipes, and just sort of,
That's it.
yeah,
I think then, I mean, I don't know if that's what they intended, but for me, it fits very well into the Blades universe.
absolutely,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay. The next film, short film, is from 2024, and this is a film called Spectre.
Ah,
This is from Haunted House Entertainment. The writer and director is Clayton Ritchie. Uh, the cast is Zeb Bailey, Sam Herbertson, and Matthew Keating. And the synopsis says the hunter becomes the hunted. Mick and Shane decide to go on a ghost hunt. Something truly horrific happens, and the twists and turns are sure to creep you out. Now, this is an Australian film. Uh, I'm saying that because we've had Australian films on them before that haven't been. Australian films have two things: they're either incredibly good or not good at all. But I must
yeah.
say, this, in a way, this kind of, when I was watching this, I kind of thought of you because it reminded me a bit of some of the stuff that you've been doing.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was a bit like, actually, this is interesting. I like this idea.
Yeah, yeah.
you
I mean,
know,
the acting's okay. There's a few bits
it's
that are a bit
it's
ropey, but
okay. It's one of these things where I think if they'd have built it up a bit more, you could tell that the idea was that they were drunk and they were watching YouTube or something and they were doing this. What might have added to it a little bit more is if they'd have actually gone to the location that the ghost hunters were going to.
yeah, that
That
was
would
a
have
bit,
made more sense for me.
yeah,
That and it would have been a bit more of a straightforward storyline rather than him going, "Oh yeah, let's go here." But obviously, that adds to the story that maybe the friend. I mean, I don't know if you noticed some of the little bits where he accidentally knocked the thing open and shut
yeah,
it. So was he pre-planning this? Did he go there the night before and rig it up as a joke?
yeah. I know what you
That
mean.
that needs to be explained a bit more, I think, because
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
you
I
know,
mean, it starts off quite funny
yes,
from the outset. It starts, and when they first go into the lockup or whatever it is, it's quite funny. But it gets very serious before the end. It turns into a proper kind of like horror. You
yeah, I
know,
know. It goes from 100 miles an hour. This is what it's the Evil Dead effect. It's
yeah,
comedy, and then boom, straight horror, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, yeah. But I thought the effects and the makeup and stuff on it were done quite well.
And to be honest with you, it's the sort of thing that I was expecting more views. I mean, last time I think it had about 300 views, I think. So this is
Yeah,
a very unknown horror film. And
absolutely.
mm. So
And
I do think it does need a bit more love.
yes, yeah, yeah. It's very, I think it's very well made for a low budget film. And as you say, it's a good idea. It's a very interesting one that you could. I mean, you could do anything with that kind of idea.
Yes, definitely.
But
you
I
know,
think it works really well, and I thought it was a really good film.
mm. And I like the fact that, like you say, it goes from different steps. So it definitely jumps the shark one extreme to the other. And I think sometimes that really works. What with Monkey that we watched the other week, the chocolate monkey
Oh,
film. That's
Chocolate
definitely
Monkey, yeah,
the
yeah,
same thing. Boom, boom.
yeah,
I think that's definitely a modern way of getting uh, audiences hooked in,
yeah.
because I think a lot of the time now
What?
they don't like the slow build up. Some audiences, especially the TikTok generation, they need something to jolt them in.
Well, I've got to admit, one of the films that really surprised me that I saw earlier this year was Heart Eyes,
Yes, I've seen that.
because it starts off like a rom-com and then
Yeah.
suddenly turns into this slasher.
Yes, yes,
And
it
it's
does.
not a, it's not an, it's not a kind of like nice slasher. It's kind of really gory.
It's brutal. I went to see that on Valentine's Day with the missus, and I
Yeah.
was like, "This is the perfect film for a horror fan on Valentine's."
I thought it was really good because, as I say, it had the right mix. It was another one where it had the right mix of comedy and horror, just equally,
Yeah,
perfect to it.
and it stayed modern as well. It didn't
Yeah,
go into old-fashioned tropes.
yeah.
You had new kills that you'd never seen before, which I thought was fantastic. Some of that stuff I've never seen in a horror film before. I was like, "Wow, okay,
Well,
that was interesting."
especially when they had a whole thing where it's been done loads of times before, where they're in the police station, and the killer comes in the police station and kills all the police off
Yeah,
looking for them. I mean, that's been done loads and loads of times before, right the way, going back to things like Terminator and things like that. But it was done so well.
that's it. The Twisty McTwisties obviously were added on to that. Were great.
Yeah,
So there was a
definitely.
purpose that they had them in there, and I
Yeah,
think that works. It wasn't just a normal scene. When you watch it back, you think, "Oh yeah, that was the reason why they had them," and it's almost like the killers are pushing them to go in certain places, and I liked that.
yeah. No, but as I say, this film I thought was a really good short film. It's worth watching.
Definitely worth watching. I think it was one of these things where it's like I wanted more. It's
Yeah,
almost like they give you a breadcrumb, and then they leave you wanting more. And I'm like, was this an elaborate prank from the friend that went wrong? They didn't really explain that. They could have had some more meat on that. Why? Should they? It would have been better for me if they'd have gone to the house that the original explorers were talking about.
yeah,
But I don't know. But
yeah. No,
I liked that aspect of it, and I did enjoy those little short scenes at the beginning. Part of me wanted more of the comedic ghost hunter double.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, there are a few bits that could have been tweaked and just made a bit more work a bit better. Okay. Right, on to the first of our two feature films. These are more kind of like in keeping with Halloween, as it were. And the first of these films is from 1988. I can't believe it's that old. 1988, and it is called Pumpkinhead.
now
Uh,
this is one. Obviously, I was 8 years old at the time, so this sort of glossed me by a little bit. And
yeah,
by the
Well,
time I had obviously had the experience of getting into horror films, it and all that sort of stuff was more, popular. So I sort of missed the boat on this one a little
this
bit.
this this film, I think there were some sequels made, but I'm not sure. I don't know a
I,
lot about them really.
I don't know much about Pumpkinhead, but I've seen that there was at least three straight to DVD sequels. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is from Lion Films, which is basically MGM, but it's one of their kind of imprint things. The writers for this is Ed Justin, Richard C. Weinman, Mark Patrick, Charducci, and Stan Winston. The director is Stan Winston. The cast is Lance Henriksen, who I'm sure everyone will know when you see him, Jeff East, uh, John Diaquino, Kimberly Ross, who I'm sure has been in other things as well, but I can't remember what,
Mm.
Joel Hoffman, Cynthia Bain, Kerry uh, Remsen, Florence Schaefer, Brian Bremer, sorry,
Okay.
May Bialik, and Tom Woodruff Jr. Now, Mayim Bialik, everyone will know because of the fact that she is in The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, she plays one of the young children in this.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Now, the synopsis for this says, after a tragic accident, a man conjures up a towering, vengeful demon called Pumpkinhead
Mm.
to destroy a group of unsuspecting teenagers.
Yes.
Now, I will start off by saying that the link I found for this on YouTube is not the best quality it could be.
No. Yeah, I
Um,
I ended up having to outsource another link, So,
but for its
but
age, it's not too bad. It's not,
it's
uh,
one of these things where it's like it's a really good film, but I feel that for me, getting to the meat and the bones of it, it's too slow for modern audiences.
yeah,
That was
maybe.
my main criticism now.
I know what you mean. For me, part of it was the character. A lot of the characters, both the ones from the kind of the backwoods area where it happens, and the teenagers who all look far too old to be teenagers.
Yeah,
Um, they are all a bit cliched, which in 1988 shouldn't be the case. You know?
no, it's almost like Lance Henriksen plays this weird sort of hick that doesn't really know much about much. The son is very much like not really acting the way he should at that age, and there's
Yeah,
lots of weird cliches. Like you've got the biker guy belongs in the 50s. Wouldn't surprise me if he was hanging around with John Travolta.
yeah,
Doing some Grease Lightning. The attitudes and the way that people are all over the place.
yeah. No, I
Um,
know exactly what you mean.
if you look at like Friday the 13th, the people in that sort of like that situation are actually a lot more modern for the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think maybe that's where the film suffers, is that unlike Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, and some of the other ones, it very much feels like an old fashioned film where Evil Dead and Friday the 13th and stuff, the attitudes of the people are very sort of upbeat and different. Whereas this is very much you know, dredging along, and they
yeah.
don't, you know.
I would say, oh yeah, we're both fathers.
Yes,
I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't leave my little boy on his own in a shop with a bunch of strangers messing about on motorbikes outside.
I know. For me, that doesn't make any sense either. I'm like, why did you do this?
Would you not even lock the shop and take him with you,
Yeah,
or say to the guy who's like cattle feed you or whatever it is you're going to get that you'll bring it to him later once you've shut the shop up?
that's it. Leaving him alone with a load of strangers didn't really compute. It
No.
For me, that felt like lazy storytelling. You
And it
know,
was that thing of like, okay, it was an accident. Yeah, okay. But then for the guy to then suddenly take off and run off. And it's not until a bit later you get to explain the fact that he's out on license from jail, and that if he gets caught again, they'll put him in jail or whatever. And it was all a bit kind of like, it's a bit convenient somehow. It just,
That's it. It was a bit convenient the way they popped that in,
I,
and the way he behaved towards his friends as well, like locking them in the cupboards and stuff like
yeah,
that. I get you want an instant bad heel for but I'm like, there should have been a progression.
yeah.
They spent
That's
so
just,
much time on the other
that's
scenes.
the weird thing is that there are some bits of it, some parts of the story that wind on quite slowly, and yet things like that, like showing him to be the bad guy, if you like, was done kind of like bang crash wallop. It wasn't. There was no kind of subtlety to it.
No, and like you were saying, that some of the scenes definitely benefited from being slow. I really enjoyed seeing Lance Henriksen's character sort of go through the spooky forest to try and find the graveyard, and that
Yeah,
worked as a slow scene
that did.
because
Yeah,
you're sort of you're sort of finding out how he feels about his death. The child's death. He's sort of going through the motions of trying to you know, unpacks all the situation. That really works as a slow scene. But other bits, not so much. And it didn't help that the music was slow as well.
yeah. I know.
It was, for me, the music, if they release a new version of it, they need to come up with a new soundtrack. Just
It,
that sort of American hick bang thing that
yeah.
you work with it.
No, it was a bit. I did think. I mean, you saying about the bit where he's going through to get to the graveyard bit. I think from the point where he go to the cabin where the old woman is, the witch, from there up to when he actually goes to find the graveyard, gets the stuff out of the graveyard and brings it back to her. I thought the atmosphere build up in that was really good and the sets were really good. I thought she looked fantastic, makeup wise and everything. That was brilliant. And I thought that whole scene, just that one section of the film was really good and was done really well.
Yes, definitely. And you sort of really felt that he wanted to revenge and take revenge on for the child and sort of move forward. And that was what I loved. Like you could tell that he was a father that wanted to do nothing but take revenge for what they'd done.
Absolutely. Um, I also got to say, I thought that I wasn't sure about it when I first saw it, but I actually think that the monster demon Pumpkinhead himself, I thought that looked really good and it was done really well.
Me too. I will say, whatever I feel about the rest of the film, the actual special effects, the practical effects on Pumpkinhead was fantastic.
Absolutely.
The one thing I wasn't sure of was the actual size of the demon. Because one minute you're getting a massive hand
Yeah,
coming down grabbing someone, and the next minute you're seeing someone that's level with the other characters. So I'm
yeah,
like, that was the one complaint I've had is how big is this demon? Can it get bigger and then shrink?
yeah.
That was the only thing I was thinking. But yeah, the practical effects on Pumpkinhead was fantastic. And that,
Um,
for me, saves the film as a modern watch.
yeah, definitely. And I will say that the solution to getting rid of Pumpkinhead, I worked it out about 10 minutes before they did.
Yes. Well, I mean, I knew Lance Henriksen was coming back for the other ones because I've seen him in the photos of the other films. But I'm a bit like, if we know the solution of that,
Yeah,
then each time someone does something wrong, I mean, I haven't seen the others,
no.
but for me, surely there's a different pumpkin head each time. But I'm
Yeah,
sure they found a way to write that into the story that it's still Lance.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, on the whole, I mean, it's basically a slasher movie, but it's got a bit more to it than that in the
Yeah.
actual story. I think the story was really good. And I think on the whole, it was a pretty good film with some good effects of makeup
Mm.
and good ending. It was just a bit in some places the story was really slow and the atmosphere wasn't there because, as you say, the music didn't work with it.
No, it felt like it was too slow. It felt like it needed a jolt in the arm. And I wonder if they've changed things up in the other ones. So I'm sure
Yeah.
there's at least another three. So I'm guessing the speed is a bit different on them.
Well,
And I mean,
maybe
I don't mind a slow burning horror film, but it felt like it was slow on purpose. You
it's
know, with
got
the
to be.
music, the tumbleweeds, and I'm like,
It,
you
it
know,
it
it
it almost
needed
makes you
something
wonder whether it
bigger.
was. It almost makes you wonder whether they put some things in just because it was like sort of God, we've only got a 90-minute film. We need to pad it out a bit.
Yeah, I'm a bit like, but if that was the case, and it probably was, then develop the storyline.
Yeah,
Have some things going on. We've had this issue before with some of the other films where it's like a couple of extra scenes would just do it the wonder of developing it all a bit more.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I'm glad I watched it though because it's one of those films that's kind of like I saw a lot of the slashers and things in the 80s and that sort of thing, and this was always one that I kind of like knew about but never got around to seeing.
I'm exactly the same. Like I said, it was sort of it jumped the shark. It jumped me for about 4 years. I started getting into horror when I was about 12, so it missed me by 4 years, unfortunately. But and then I obviously waited till I was 45 years old to watch it again.
Oh, I know. There's plenty of films that I haven't seen. Some people I think would be amazed at some of the films I haven't seen that everyone's classes as being classics and all that sort of thing. It's just the way
Well,
it goes sometimes.
you know, my stepson hasn't watched The Matrix yet, and that just upsets
Oh
me.
well, no, I've seen all the Matrix ones, but it's things like I've never seen a Chucky film.
I've only ever watched one and two
Yeah,
because what happens is, unfortunately, like I said, the first one straight up horror,
yeah.
and then it just goes into comedy land. So I've avoided them. You know, you know.
There's plenty of things. It's things like I was talking to somebody a while ago, and I was saying about the fact I've never seen the Goonies.
What?
I only watched E.T. earlier this year.
What?
Yeah, never seen it.
Oh dear.
You
See,
know,
I can't believe that. The Goonies is like a staple of modern thing.
yeah.
And and see if you can find now, this is one for me, is that there's the original cut of the Goonies and then there's the giant octopus cut. See if you
Okay,
can watch the giant octopus cut because it is better.
right. It's like this is another one that will amaze you. I've never seen Gremlins.
What?
I,
Right, we're
I,
going to need to do a Christmas special involving Goonies and
I never.
Gremlins
At
and
that
things
at the
like that.
time that they came out, I just it was like the problem was I've been watching horror films and slashers and all that sort of thing. So when they came out, it was like, oh, they're kids' films. I don't want to watch that. You
See,
know,
Gremlins is really dark. It goes from one, especially the first one. It has moments of comedy in that,
yeah.
and then you get a story that makes the film really dark.
But as I say, Goonies and Gremlins, and there was a couple of others that came out of that sort of time. And as far as I was concerned, because they involved kids in the storyline and all that sort of thing, they were kids' films, and I wasn't interested.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I wanted to watch blood and guts and you know people being eviscerated and things like that.
Yeah, but I tell you what, though, honestly, the first Gremlins gets really dark really quick. There's a story in there, so there's a tonal shift of quiet, and the boyfriend and the girlfriend are sort of sitting, and she goes on about how why she's upset about Christmas and things like that, and you find out that her dad had literally gone, would pretended to be Santa every year, or is Santa, I should say, just in case.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and they go, in the chimney, and the dad dies in the chimney, and they talk about this, and the dad dies in the chimney, and they go, "Oh, dad went missing for 3 days over Christmas. No one knew why until the smell hit in the chimney. And
Oh
this
my
is a
God.
kids' film. This is a bloody kids' film,
That's incredible.
And
Oh,
so one of the main characters dies, like Dad's dies during the festive period in the chimney. So this is how I think it is dark. The
I
second
will
Gremlins is hilarious
I
though.
will get around to watching these films eventually. It's just that, just sort of they passed me by at the time and I've never really caught up with them.
Yeah, I
Um,
was definitely the same with Pumpkinhead. It
yeah.
was one of these things where it's like, wow, how did I miss this?
All right.
But
Here we go. Okay, so the second of our two feature films coming more up to date. This is from 2019. This is a film called The Curse of Halloween Jack. The writer and director is Andrew Jones. The cast is Peter Cosgrove, Derek Nelson, Brian Clark, David Lennick, Patricia O'Donnell, Tiffany Carey, Charlotte Mounter, Philip Roy, and Brendan Purcell. The synopsis says notorious cult, the Lords of Samhain, resurrect long dead serial killer Halloween Jack, and all hell breaks loose in the town of Dunwich. Now, I've got to say, when I first picked this out, I didn't realise that this is a sequel to a film called The Legend of Halloween Jack from
oh,
2018.
is it
Yeah.
okay? Well, I need to watch that then.
Well, the thing is, watching it without knowing it's a sequel and without first watching the first film, it does leave you with a few questions right from the start. But as most of the story, or at least the end of it, is explained as the film goes on, I'm not sure whether you need to watch the first
I
film.
know I did not twig that it was a sequel at all. I must admit that I did not twig it was a sequel at
Well,
all, not once.
it starts with this explosion and news report, and I assumed that that must have been what happened at the end of the first film.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
But I don't know. Um, I will say, starting off, I did a little bit of research about this because I was interested. A couple of things caught my eye. So, the main setting for it is Dunwich, which is named after the Dunwich Horror, which was a
Lovecraftian
H.P.
thing.
Lovecraft book. Um, it's also used in The City of the Living Dead from 1980. Um, Haddonfield, which is uh, which is from Halloween,
Yeah.
is mentioned in the film, and so is Antonio Bay, which is in The Fog. Those two places are both mentioned in this film,
Ah,
but
see,
there isn't a
I
direct
missed that
connection.
reference. I
So
need to go back and have a look for this.
I don't quite know what they're, you know,
They're definitely referencing other horror films. You know what I think they're trying to do? They're trying to cement it being in America. And I had this really big thing of this
yeah,
is that it's in America, dun dun, but you have chavvy kids, you have British accents, you have people with British attitudes and British sayings, and it is overly very British.
and all of the police are wearing British police uniforms.
Yes,
So what are they? I mean, that's what I put a note down here. I said it's not a bad film, but it doesn't seem to know be sure whether it's British or American.
I know, and
It's
also not being funny as well. Even the party near the end of the film feels British. They've got
yeah,
British snacks on the table.
I
It
know.
feels like it. Like when you go to those parties and and not everyone, and it feels like it's got basic British finger food in there. I was
Absolutely.
expecting someone to be chopping up some hard-boiled eggs and putting them on a plate.
I mean, yeah, and it's okay. I've got to say, I mean, you said the last one, but the Pumpkinhead was slow, and I agree it's slow. But for me, this is almost bloody. It's just a standstill for a lot of it.
Yes.
Nothing happens for so much of the film.
No, I know. And I don't know if that's because they used up all the budget on the first film. I need to watch it. But I'm a bit like it trudges along. It's like walking through treacle.
I
Yeah.
will say, I thought the effects and the editing was so good, but when they did the kills. you didn't really see anything, but you saw enough to be
Yeah,
sure that those kills had happened, and it was really well done. I thought that was really good.
that's what I will say is that they did definitely lean into their budget constraint with the kills. You saw a bit of the kill, and
Yeah,
then most of it was to your imagination. Now that is a good part of it because obviously that was used in Texas Chainsaw and many other films where you see a bit of the kill and then lots of it is your imagination. Especially
absolutely.
with the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, half of that is just in your brain. Believe it
Yeah,
or not,
yeah,
you
yeah.
watch it back. Um, but yeah, I love the effects of the costume. I'm
Oh,
a bit like I could tell when they used a puppet. I think they used a puppet for some of it that looked very similar.
yeah,
Even when there was a person in it, I'm like, how did they fit the face in and all the lights and the cloth sack and the hat and and he. So that really made me think, wow, I really like the costume.
yeah. I mean, the character and the look of Halloween Jack was really good. That I thought was really well done. And there was some really good music in it as well. The music seemed to work quite well. But occasionally thought that the music was a bit too loud because I couldn't quite hear what they were saying
Yes,
over the top of the background music.
sometimes that happens a bit too much, doesn't it? Like, I mean, I used to do it a lot in my older films as well. Like, you ramp up the music too much because you're not sure how it's going to be. But they definitely should have cut it down a little bit. I did find myself having to turn it up a
Yeah,
lot to hear what people were saying because when it was quiet and there was nothing going on, it was really quiet. So you're like, I was forever turning the volume up and down to try
yeah,
and get the right balance.
absolutely. The other thing you got me was the party you're talking about. It seemed the whole scene where he's eating like the chips or whatever out of the thing, and then he picks up a finger. That's completely lifted from the Hitcher.
Yeah, oh yeah, I don't remember that, but yeah, go on. You say I don't know.
Yeah, the Hitcher is you know there's a young lady sitting in this kind of like um roadside sort of diner, and he's got a sort of bucket or a plate of chips in front of him, and he's eating them away from him. He's looking around, and then you see him pick one up, and it's a finger. So but
No.
it's
That is
complete.
there is a reference. I mean, I know you're not a video game guy really per se, but the first Outlast is set in an asylum, and obviously the inmates go nuts. There's paranormal stuff going on, but there is actually plates and stuff, and there is plates full of fingers, finger food. You get
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
so that is referenced in a lot of different things.
yeah.
But
No,
I'm
I
a
get
bit
it.
like, why are you not looking at the plate? And also another thing, they were British chips.
Yeah,
They weren't American French fries, were
no,
they? I'm
absolutely.
like, the film
But
needs to pick a lane. You could easily say that it's still the UK and have those towns in it. Just put it in the
absolutely.
arse end of nowhere in Essex or something.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, we've all seen lots of horror films where they're set in imaginary Kent towns and Essex towns. Just do that. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
reference a Essex town called Haddonfield if you like. The film is overly British. It has a British feel. The only thing that made me twig that they were trying to put it in America is the reference of sheriffs and the dad had dollar bills instead of pound,
Yeah,
notes.
I did have to laugh when you had the guy who was the guy who'd hunted down Halloween Jack before and that sort of thing, with the eye patch and the scars, and it was a bit kind of like, oh, really, we're overdoing it a bit, are we? You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was
It's like Snake from Timu.
yeah. But the other thing I got as well was the explosion at the end. There's an explosion, and it's exactly the same explosion that they use at the beginning of the film. But this is supposed to be 2 years later or something.
Yeah,
And it's like, what, hang what, eh? And then they go to a news report, which sounds very similar to the one that I thought, I don't quite know what's going on here.
yeah. I mean, it definitely was like they obviously tried to reuse bits and reuse the scenes. But for me, if you're filming the explosion and you want to use it twice, do two different angles and then pretend it's a new explosion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done that trope myself, you know.
Yeah,
And obviously for the newsreader bit, that would have been easy. Just get the lady or the person to say something different, you know. But
yeah.
yeah, it was a hot mess of nearly there.
I mean, there's a lot about the film that I thought was good, but there's an awful lot about it that just made me go, "Oh, really?"
Yeah,
Just it's sad, really. It's not a bad film. It's just a bit kind of lost. I think it gets a bit lost in places.
yeah.
Um,
It reminds me of obviously if you seen some of the schlocky films, like obviously you've got the snow, you know, the snow demons and all this sort of stuff. You know, it reminds me of a certain type of film, like Halloween, sort of like schlocky horror. You
yeah,
know, but if you're going to stay in that sort of idea, stick with that. You know,
yeah. I
we all
mean,
love a bit of like crappy horror films.
the
If
thing
that's
about
the
it,
reason, if that's the way you're going, stick with it.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of theirs, to be honest. I've never really liked many of their films, but you can get away with making quite atrocious horror films, and if you put them out in the right way, Troma have been doing it for years.
Most definitely. And Troma are back in full force.
As I say,
Um,
I'm not a huge fan. There's only one or two of their films I've ever really liked. Most of them I just kind of never really
you know,
on with.
the only ones I really like, I'd never really gelled to Toxic Crusader then.
No,
I like the modern one with Peter Dinklage.
I haven't seen it, to be honest, because
I think it was fantastic.
I
If you
did
like horror films, you'll like it. The
I
modern
had
ones,
no interest in it before, and I just looked at it. I thought, oh god, I'm not really that bothered
yeah.
about it.
See, I would say I'm a fan of the modern Toxic Crusader idea. I've watched the old one, I didn't like it. The
Uh,
new one I enjoyed.
I
The
like,
only trauma film that I remember really loving as a kid was one called Nukem High,
yeah,
where literally a load of kids all end up smoking toxic waste weed.
I liked the Class of Nukem High, and the other one that I really like. There's a great one called Monster in the Closet.
Oh, okay, I don't know that one.
That's a brilliant one. The main reason I love that is because there's a guy who's a reporter in it, and he's quite big and buff, right? But he wears glasses all the time. Okay, and the monster comes after him, and his glasses gets knocked off. And after as his glasses get knocked off, the monster looks at him and falls in love with him. So it's a bit kind of Superman, When his
Yeah.
glasses come off, he looks like a completely different person. But it's a really quite a funny story. It's the idea is that there is a monster that lives in closets, but it's the same one that lives in every closet. It's just,
Oh, okay,
you
yeah.
know, so they basically destroy all the closets in town, so it can only come out of one, so that they can capture it.
Oh, okay. That's I'll have to watch that.
It is a
That's,
good film. It's
yeah.
it's got a really good story to it, and it's funny, which is great.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that one. Thank you for that recommendation. That was cool.
All right.
But yeah,
Right.
like I said, the Curse of Halloween Jack is a nearly there.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a nearly there for
I
me.
must admit, like you, I'm in. I know it sounds bad. Normally, I don't think if I'd have watched a film like this, I wouldn't be bothered about anything else. But I kind of want to watch the first one to see what it's like, to see if it's better.
I know, yeah. I think it's going to be on my list. I think that's going to be my late night viewing now. I'm going to search for the first one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So there you go. There you go.
Mm.
We got four films. We had Don't Tell Your Mum, which you can watch on YouTube, I believe, from Halloween.
Ah,
Spectre, yeah, which both of those short films we kind of liked, but they were, you know, um,
needed a bit more meat to them, I feel.
yeah. And then we had Pumpkinhead, which was okay, but there were elements of that were a bit slow, and I think it's not one of the 80s slasher movies or those type of movies that I think would be in a lot of people's lists of the
No,
best.
It
But
is a cult horror, but I think it's a lot slower than what you expect a normal slasher film to be like.
absolutely. And The Curse of Halloween Jack, which is again slow and a little bit confused and a little bit lost in places, has some good points. Definitely worth checking out the look of the character Halloween Jack, because I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, so I think that is definitely its saving grace. If you're a fan of, and that's the same with Pumpkinhead. If you're a fan of practical effects,
Yeah.
definitely dissect how they did the
And
costumes and the effects in both films.
I appreciate the fact that, coming up to sort of like it's only what 6 years old, and having the practical effects in it that they did in that was really good, because they weren't relying on easy CGI stuff or anything like that, which always looks tacky if it's done cheap.
Mm.
But I thought it was really good.
And I think
Okay.
that's the problem with modern cinema at the minute as well. CGI has got too cheap. I actually think CGI from the early 2000s is better than CGI now.
Yeah. And the
But we could talk for hours about that.
problem we got now is the fact that we're now starting to get the influx of AI stuff, which I think, to be honest, looks awful a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I know it's a bit of a random thing, but there's a Power Rangers series that they were creating just for YouTube.
right.
And literally, all the fans were looking forward to it so much. But apparently now, because they used AI in the trailer and AI in the series, and it's been leaked, they're thinking of cancelling the whole series because it's been leaked that they've been using AI.
Uh, yeah. Well, it's going to happen more and more.
Well,
Um,
hopefully we'll be able to dissect it and we'll be able to see it in some of the films that we review.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the show again.
No, I loved it.
It's always lovely to have you on here. I every year we do a Halloween special, and I've got to say, anyone who's seen um my thing on the Thrave Productions channel about my opinions and things will know I can't stand Halloween.
Oh no,
I hate it. I hate Halloween with a vengeance. It's awful.
yeah.
It's all American and commercial and rubbish. I can't stand it. So, but hey ho,
I
what
mean,
can you do?
obviously for me, Halloween has like a birthday influence for me.
Yes, it's your birthday tomorrow on
That's
Halloween
right. So
Day.
that's the reason why I do love it in a way. For me, there was that family bonding. I did get to take my son trick or treating for the first time last year, which really, was a nice sort of memory for me.
Yeah, no, I
And
get that.
but I
And
do think, for me, it's a double edged sword. Like you say, it's an Americanism, and we've got plenty of other things we could be celebrating. It's
uh,
a double edged sword for me. I love it, but then I'm also a bit like at the same time.
but it's also the thing, like, we don't do it the same way the Americans do anyway. You do it slightly differently. And the thing is, I was watching a TV program, and there was somebody on there was saying the fact that the way the Americans do it now is different to the way they used to do it, because it's been so influenced by horror movies.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Over the years, the horror movies that are not just Halloween itself, but all of the other horror movies that have been set at Halloween, and that sort of thing, have influenced the way that people do Halloween now.
Oh, okay,
Because it
interesting.
never used to be so horror driven. Kids
Oh,
just used to dress up in fancy dresses. They weren't necessarily like, dressing up as,
spooky stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I think in the UK, personally, we just dress up as whatever. I mean, I do see a lot of horror references, but when I've been out and about in Essex and things like that in different parts of the world, for me, people do vary it up.
they do a bit, yeah, no.
It's more cosplay driven for me. Whenever I've seen people about, it's more you've got your Harley Quinns, your Jokers, your Batmans, and it's more a case of people dressing up more to do it.
Yeah.
So the horror side of it in the UK is nearly there, but not really.
I think we started off doing a lot of the horror stuff where everyone used to dress up as witches or zombies or something like that,
Yes.
But we've kind of moved away from that because of partly, I think, because of the fact that it's like a lot of the kids, the parents have already bought them superhero costumes or
Yes.
princess outfits or whatever, so they just dress them up in those.
And obviously, they don't want their kids watching Friday the 13th or whatever,
No, maybe not.
unless they have to.
I suppose I was spoiled a bit, really. Uh, there you go.
There you go, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, yes, thank you, Badger. It's been really good to have you on the show.
Always good, mate. Always good.
Thank you to everybody for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that kind of thing. And when I put the link out, please spread it around and send it to other people and post it in places and all that kind of stuff.
100%. Yes, 100%.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next time I'll be back with some more science fiction. See you then. Bye. The Sciforror Film Podcast.